What if taking care of yourself actually helped you show up better for everyone else? I'm Janet Jacks, Coach Janet J, and this is your next best step. This podcast is about real doable shifts that help you breathe easier and move forward one step at a time. If you've been carrying the weight of too much for too long and waiting for things to calm down before you start caring for yourself, this is your sign. The time is now. Let's begin where you are. You were made for more than just surviving. If your week feels like one long to-do list with no beginning and no end, like Monday blurs into Friday and you can't remember what you actually accomplished, let's talk about that. Today, we are not creating another color-coded schedule or mapping out complicated systems. We are talking about rhythm, about creating a few predictable anchors in your week instead of trying to control every hour. Here's what I know. You have tried the perfect weekly planner. You have set up elaborate systems and they worked until they didn't. Until someone got sick or work got crazy or life just happened. So today we are building something different, something that bends when life pushes against it, something that gives your brain structure without demanding perfection. When your week has no rhythm, every day feels like starting from scratch. You wake up wondering, what am I supposed to do today? When should you exercise? When do you check on mom and dad? When do you actually sit down with your spouse instead of just passing each other in the hallway? Everything is negotiable. Everything is up for debate, and that creates stress. Research on social rhythms, the regular patterns of sleeping, eating, moving, and connecting, shows they are tied tightly to mood and sleep. A 2025 paper by Ali Sapeni and colleagues explains that when routines get disrupted, sleep and health behaviors often drift, and mental health can take a hit too. And in a 2021 Journal of Affective Disorders study with over 3,000 adults, people with greater social rhythmicity reported fewer depressive and anxiety symptoms, partly through healthier sleep habits. It is not about being rigid. It is about having a pattern your brain can recognize. When you have predictable rhythms, your nervous system can relax. When everything is constantly shifting, you stay on high alert. Let me tell you about Amanda, one of my clients. She came to me exhausted. She had tried everything: color-coded planners, theme days, elaborate morning routines, and they all collapsed within weeks. I can't stick to anything, she told me. I keep failing at the same systems over and over. But here is what was actually happening. She was building rigid routines that demanded perfection. When her daughter needed her at 6 a.m., her perfect morning routine was shot. When her mother had a doctor appointment on Wednesday, her whole week felt derailed. The problem wasn't Amanda. The problem was that she was trying to build routines that couldn't bend. So we tried something different. Instead of a detailed schedule, we identified just 3 weekly anchors, 3 predictable moments that could happen regardless of what else was going on. Her Sunday evening reset, her Tuesday evening walk, her Thursday morning coffee and planning time. That is it. 3 anchors. Everything else could shift around them. And for the first time in years, she had a pattern that actually stuck. Not because it was perfect, but because it could flex. Here is the key difference. Routines break under pressure. Rhythms bend. A rigid routine is like a rule. I will exercise at 6 a.m. every day. And when you can't do it, you have broken the rule. You have failed. A rhythm is like a pattern. Movement happens somewhere in my week, usually Tuesday and Thursday evenings. When Tuesday gets crazy, you shift it to Wednesday. The pattern continues. Habit researchers like Wendy Wood describe habits as our brain's efficient default mode. When a behavior is attached to a reliable cue, it takes less effort and less moment-to-moment decision-making. That is why a few weekly anchors can feel like relief. They reduce the constant, "what should I do next?" load. This is especially important if you are in the sandwich generation. You have so many unpredictable demands. Creating a few predictable anchors gives your brain something to hold on to when everything else is shifting. Mentally, when you have a rhythm, you are not constantly spinning around about what to do next. You have more mental bandwidth for what actually matters. Emotionally, predictable patterns create stability. When everything else feels chaotic, these anchors give you something solid, and they protect space for your relationships, for connection with your spouse, your kids, your friends. Physically, consistent pockets in your week mean movement actually happens. Sleep gets protected. Your body knows what to expect, which helps regulate everything from your hormones to your energy. Spiritually, built-in rhythm creates natural space for worship, prayer, and rest. Not just when you can squeeze it in, but as a part of the pattern of your life. Identify just 3 anchors for your week, not 10, not one for every day, just 3 for the week. And here is the key. Attach them to days, not exact times. This makes them flexible enough to actually work. Here are some ideas to get you started. Anchor 1, one spiritual mental reset moment. Maybe Sunday evening, you spend 15 minutes planning your week and praying over it. Or maybe Monday morning, you take 10 minutes with your coffee and your Bible before anyone else wakes up. When could you create a little space to exhale and connect with God? Another anchor, one physical movement practice. This does not have to be a gym session. Maybe Tuesday or Wednesday evening, you go for a walk. Maybe Thursday morning, you do 10 minutes of stretching. When does movement naturally fit into your week? Anchor 3 could be one relational or emotional anchor. Maybe on Thursday, you call or text a friend. Maybe Saturday morning, you have coffee with your spouse. Maybe Wednesday evening, you journal or just sit in silence. When could you create a space for connection or processing? Write them down somewhere you will see them. Your planner, your phone, a sticky note on your bathroom mirror. And here is what is important. These are starting points, not laws. If you discover that Tuesday's walk doesn't work, move it to Wednesday. If Sunday evening feels too rushed, try Monday morning. The goal is not perfection. The goal is pattern. Psalm 90:12 says, "Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. The psalmist isn't asking God for a perfect system or an elaborate plan. He is asking for wisdom about his days, understanding pattern, rhythm. And notice, he is asking God to teach him. This isn't something you figure out once and you're done. It is something you learn, adjust, and grow into. God himself modeled rhythm for us. He worked 6 days and rested 1. He created seasons and cycles. He built rest and work, light and dark, planting and harvest into the very fabric of creation. If God, who is all-powerful and never sleeps, chose to work in rhythm rather than constant productivity, maybe we should too. Your 3 anchors aren't just a planning tool. They are an act of faith. You are trusting that God can work in your life through sustainable patterns, not just through exhausting hustle. You do not need to completely restructure your entire week. You do not need a perfect system or an elaborate planner. You need 3 anchors, 3 predictable moments that give your week a gentle rhythm instead of rigid control. This week, identify your 3 anchors. Write them down. Try them out. And if one doesn't work, adjust it. That is wisdom. Rhythms bend, whereas routines break. And you are building something that will last. All right, you've got your next step. Small, doable, and real. If this inspired you, make sure to grab your free 5-minute daily reset at yournextbeststep.com. It's my gift to help you pause the chaos and reconnect with what matters most. Be sure to subscribe. And if someone came to mind while you listened, please share this with them. Remember, you are seen, you are known, and you matter. Be kind to yourself along the way. You are making real change, one step at a time.